What's going on, world? This is the Brand Builder, and in today's video I want to talk about why the saving community is so anonymous. This is a very underserved community, very private community, and people don't even know that this community doesn't even know that it's a private community. Well, it kind of does to a certain degree, but they're so private that even they don't really communicate with each other. That's how private this community is. And let me explain something to you. The reason why the savers are anonymous is because of you, the ones who are not so anonymous. Let me prove my point real quick before I move on to the rest of my video. Just give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're just coming across this. And the brand builder is who I am. Build your brand. Anyway, so now, if I drove down your community with a Nissan Sentra that was about 3 or 4 years old, it's not even clean. Maybe it's a little dirty, right? I'm just driving through. I got hubcaps, no sunroof, nothing special with this car. Just a 3 to 4 year model Nissan Sentra hubcaps. Who would look out their window and be that curious or even amused or astonished? You might take a peek and be like, and just keep it moving, right? But here's the thing. If I drove through your community, block, or neighborhood with a Mercedes-Benz, a brand new Mercedes-Benz, or a brand new BMW, or a Rolls-Royce, Aston Martin, Maserati, or something like that, something fancy, something expensive, something luxurious, you would notice. So can you see why the saving community is so anonymous? Because people only notice what's flashy, what's seen, what's out there, what's making people look hot, because everybody wants a piece of that action. Whether it's to sit in that car with someone else who owns it, they don't necessarily have to be at a point where they can actually have something like that or have the financial stability to own or control an asset of that, or not really an asset, liability like that, because vehicles are a liability. Let's keep it real. If I bought a brand new Maserati right now, the only thing I'm going to be paying for is a lot of insurance. It's going to be expensive to get the anything fixed or any upgrades, and it's just gonna, the oil change is going to be, and the maintenance is going to be a lot of money. So if you're buying a Maserati for about $80,000-$90,000, as far as repairs and a lifetime of use and maintenance, you're really looking at about $350,000 at a minimum. At a maximum, you're talking nearly $1 million. So if your car's a $500,000, you're looking at about $2 million worth of maintenance. So that's what you got to really look at, right? If you got a $30,000, $40,000 car, you're looking at double the price because of maintenance. Cost of service, tires and oil changes, services, something goes wrong, fixing it, daily routine stuff, and gasoline. So you double the price, and that's basically what your car is going to cost you during the duration. But why are savers so anonymous? Let's talk about that. But before we talk about that, let me show you guys this soap that I just found in Target. Duke Cannon. Smells like accomplishment. Smells like accomplishment. I smelled it, and I think it's great. I'm going to be using it tomorrow. When I get up, get showered, and get dressed, I want to smell like accomplishment. So the anonymous community is anonymous because they're savers, right? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about that guy at work whose name is Brian, right? Now everybody at work has a Brian there, right? Or someone close to a Brian. That one person that you never see spending any money, never buys any new clothes, no new watches, does not have the latest cell phone, has the cheapest phone, cheapest and oldest phone that he can possibly own, right? Or her, if there's that girl, but most likely it's usually not females. So Brian wears the same hoodie, same pair of jeans, and a couple of different t-shirts every single day. He looks the same, very plain, doesn't go out and get haircuts, so his hair's a little rough. Maybe he cuts his hair once every 2 months, once every 3 months, but in the meantime, he's wearing a hat or something like that because he's not trying to look flamboyant. So, what is going on with Brian? Brian secretly has about $247,000 in a savings account. That's right, Brian. Brian, the guy who doesn't make a lot of money, he's never going to apply for a supervisor position at work. He's never going to try to become a manager. All he's doing is saving his money and staying low. Saving money, staying low. That's what these savers do. They don't try to build a bridge over to the top and try to start networking with the top dogs. They're anonymous and they're sitting back and they're hanging out and they're saving their money. All they're doing is saving. Every time they get a tax return, every dime goes right in the bank. Just like that. Nothing else. So, while everybody else is going out and having dinners together and meeting up for lunch and stuff, Brian doesn't want to meet up for lunch. And no one's going to talk to Brian anyway. No one's going to be like, hey, Brian, you want to go out to lunch? Because Brian is too busy keeping his head low, minding his business, and looking almost like no one cares. Because that's what Brian does. Brian stashes away all his money, and he loves having money saved up. So that's why the savers are anonymous. Because anonymous is the survival of your finance. To stay anonymous makes it so that your money lasts a lot longer. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. So, and I'm going to have some tips for you guys after I finish talking about the community that is underserved, under-talked about, and underappreciated. The saving community. So, are there any females that are like Brian? Yeah, sure. Very casual, you know, maybe cheap jeans here and there, a couple of outfits, normal sweater, just a basic car. That girl that lives at home. Or something like that. Maybe Brian even lives at home too, or has a roommate and is paying very little money. So, she's just not paying any bills. And she's real casual, doesn't like spending a lot of money on lunch or anything like that either. And maybe every once in a while she will and order something really cheap off the menu, because that's what the anonymous community does. They spend very little money. The flamboyant community has to have the nicest car that they can find so that everyone can notice them. They have to have the nicest house, they have to have the nicest clothes, the nicest shoes, and everything else under the sun. Why? Because they need people to notice that they exist. And, in fact, the shiners. There's the shiners, and then there's the anonymous, which is the savers. The savers are anonymous. The shiners are very out there. And you know what the shiners get? The shiners get admiration in front of their face and hate behind their back. They get hateful conversations like, oh, I heard this person's going to get their car repoed. It might not even be close to being true. But to make up that lie, to make up that rumor makes people feel so good about not having what you have, wanting to be a shiner, not even having the capability of being a shiner. And they can't be savers because they're not anonymous. They don't want to be anonymous. They want just as much attention as you, but they're not built that way. So, the saving community. This is what the savings community, they're anonymous, but you can get to know them. You can get to know them. This is what the savings community usually refers. When I speak to these people, when I speak to the Bryans, the people at work that have the carefree attitude, you know what some of the pointers are? And I can tell you like this. I learned this from Glendon Cameron, watching his channel here on YouTube. And he was one of my biggest inspirations. He had that term, manage your money or your money will manage you, right? And he also told people that if you can't save money, take $5 a week. Just take cash, get some cash, take $5 a week and put it in a can. Just stick it in a can. Every single week, just do that until you get used to saving money. Because the truth is, most people, they'll come up with every excuse in a book why they can't save money. They'll come up with every single excuse that the cost of living is too high, they got this going on and that going on. And sometimes you say, can't you just save $5 a week? I can't even save that much. Truth is, everyone can save money. Whatever number you think you can save, you can reach it. And believe you me, sometimes it takes a little practice, and sometimes it takes a little conditioning, and it takes one step at a time. You start with $5 a week, and then you gradually move up to $50 a week. Then you gradually move up to $100 a week, so that you can gradually move up to $500 a week. How in the world can someone save $500 a week? Let me ask you a question. How in the world can you find a Brian who only made $10 an hour? Yeah, and by the way, this story, there's a real Brian out there. Believe you me. I'm not going to get too much into details about it, but yeah, there's a real story behind this. There's a me meeting a Brian that was like this, and I'm not even kidding. So anyway, how can Brian, after only making $10 an hour, save up $240,000 in his savings account? Most people won't even believe what I'm saying here. It's just Harry, you're lying. You're just lying to us. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Let me tell you one of the things I learned. When I was homeless, the very first time I was homeless, it was because mentally, my perspective was that somebody needed to provide for me, right? Psychologically, even though I was young and it was logical to believe that somebody was responsible for taking care of me, it isn't always that way. And fairness is not something that enters into the world synonymously, because you could be born in a third world country where your family's starving and it's just your stars in life to be a starving kid. So forget about fairness. Forget about it. I tell you like this. I never really made too many comments about bullying or talked about that in my videos. But life isn't fair and life's going to bully you. And the reason why I never talked about it is because I've had some very hard times in my life. Like I said, I was homeless 2 times. The very first time is because of my perspective, like I'm saying, and not thinking that somebody was supposed to be able to provide for me. And then when I realized that that's not always the case, I had to figure things out and become a problem solver and do it on my own. After learning how to do it on my own, I saved up a lot of money, paid the first few months' rent by myself. When I moved into my apartment, I saved enough to pay a few months' rent. How did I make it? You already know if you're subscribed to the channel, watch some of the older videos, and maybe you'll find out exactly how I did it. However, when I was able to do that, I got myself working a lot and doing everything. And then there was just one thing. There was one problem. I learned aggressive economics. But when the tide was low, when it was time to lose hours at work, when I had a responsibility to rent, and this was a new practice for me in my life where I had a lot of bills to pay. All of a sudden a light bill came. I had to sign up for a light bill, and then a light bill came. I had to sign up for this bill, then this bill came. No one taught me how to do all these things. I actually went to a car dealership, got myself a car. There was maintenance on the vehicle, oil changes, all this stuff I had to learn on my own. All these things I had to learn. I went through struggles, I went through strife. But when I started learning them and when I started falling apart, I started to develop a mentality that was tough, saying, how do I prevent this from happening the next time? Learning my lesson over and over again. Well, guess what, people? I became homeless again. But this time, I became homeless with a car. It was the first time this ever happened. But the first time I was homeless, I didn't have a car. The second time I was homeless, I had a car. The car gave me somewhat of an advantage because I still, from time to time, was able to stay over at someone else's house. That was courteous to me. So how did I get to the next step? How did I get to a point where I no longer had to worry about being homeless? I had to learn defensive economics, which was get it in my head that it's time to save money. Save money, save money. What did I do wrong? I paid for the first few months prior. It wasn't even required. I just wanted to get it out of the way. You have to have a nest egg. You have to learn and build the muscle. If you never lift weights, you're not going to gain any muscle, right? So here's the thing. You build a tolerance and a discipline for saving money. Little by little, stashing little money away. So that's the aggressive part, to train yourself to put money away. The next part is to try to find a way to put away more. How can you do that? Start canceling your subscriptions. That $250 cable bill per year, cut it off and get an internet bill for $50. That just put an extra $200 in your pocket. So even if you wanted to divide that into half, putting half of that toward whatever you want to buy, new clothes, sneakers, or whatever you need, just create a budget. And the other $100 you're going to save. So now you got the $5 a week, and then you got another $25. Now you can put away $30 a week. How do you get to more? You'll always find a new way to save. Whether you get a higher paying job, or you get 2 jobs or whatever you do, you'll always find a way to save. There was a time where I worked 2 jobs and I used my second job, the one that paid a little less, and all I did with that money was put it in the bank. Every time I got a paycheck, I stuffed it in the bank. Boom. I may not have slept much. I may have been tired from time to time, but guess what? That second job, that income, every single check went into a separate bank account. Separate bank account. I did not spend that money. Stashing it away each and every time. Every chance I get. Car broke down, when he got a new car. Just like that. Every time I had an emergency, I took care of it. I even had some bozo expenses, which were things that I could have managed better, questions that I could have asked, letting different people finesse me, especially at car dealerships or at auto mechanic shops. People testing the waters to see how much money I got. Oh, we could fix this, but it's going to cost $700. We could fix that, but it's going to cost $800. Meanwhile, it was probably something so small that all it probably was a $50 piece. So I had to start learning how to apply my savings and my discipline with knowledge. So here's what I have to say to everyone who wants to know more about the anonymous community. One, they think about, well, first of all, they have 3 life sources. Knowledge being the one that governs them all. Okay? Emotions, which is tying yourself to a discipline, a core, and a reaction in order to manage the difference between the 2 life sources, right? Which is knowledge, and the next one I'm talking about, currency, finance, capital, whatever you want to call it. So you have knowledge, emotion, and capital, right? These things tie with each other, and guess what you have? You have the ability to utilize these 3 resources to live your life with more quality and with more definition. Why? Because the emotion's going to build up the discipline that you need to create the success. If you can be comfortable with yourself, if you can not have to be in everyone's face all the time, 24/7, you don't have to be so flashy and out there and just around people all the time, and you're just comfortable in your own skin, you could do really well. Or you could comment below and you could talk to me, because guess what? I want to talk to you. And not only do I want to talk to you, but I want to communicate with you and help you live a better life if I can. And who am I to tell you how to live a better life? I'm nobody. I am nobody special. But who's the opposite of Brian? The opposite of Brian is the person who loves to spend money. Maybe you don't have it. Maybe you know you should be saving money, but you can't really resist the urge to, if you're ladies, get your hair done, get your nails done, buy all these brand new outfits. Oh, it's a special night. I'm going to go out and party. $500, $600 on one night. $200 on one night. That's fine and dandy, but your future is going to look grim. And then you would have wished you put a paper and pen. Practice some Zen, my friend, because we're all still human in the end. Don't be blowing your money. Don't blow it all. Don't blow. Don't blow. Grow. Plant the seed and flow. This is why the saving community is anonymous, because they have nothing to say. And you have a lot of debt to pay. The saving community, they'll adjust no matter who goes into office, no matter who becomes president, no matter what. If Bernie gets in and we're taxed at half our tax, the savers already have a bunch of money in reserves, and they've already been put in a situation where they discipline themselves to only spend half of what they own anyway. So it will be a walk in the park to them. They could just continue letting their money gain compound interest. They won't be able to put away anymore. But even if they get screwed, they're still there to last forever. So what happens to savers if the market of money itself collapses and everything goes away? Well, it was a risk to take. It was a wonderful risk. But savers don't think like that. See, here's the thing that people don't know about savers. You know what savers are? They're not just people who save money. They're highly intelligent, highly effective, most critical, probably most genius people on the planet. They are the champions of monopoly without the board. That's right, because with the mindset to just put away money and conserve so that you can have less problems and less issues, it's quite a fancy one. That's an expert design. That is a genius thing. Because guess what? You can graduate from college. You can go to school. You could become whatever you want. A nurse, a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, or a rocket scientist. But not everyone can save money. There are lawyers out there that make $500,000 a year and have very little to show for it. But those savers, those people who could only make $10 an hour or whatever and save up money, which also goes to talk about why most people want to raise the minimum wage. I honestly think it's fake. I think they just want to work less hours and get paid more so that they can have more time away from work and more time on their own and have the same amount of money as before. But in case they do want to make more money, maybe you should learn how to save more money. Anyway, this video is over. I just wanted to talk about the most underserved community in the world, which is the community of savers. So, how much should you save per month before you retire? Who knows? You know, some of these savers have been doing it since they were very young. So, seeing someone 16 save money, it's not uncommon. From 16 all the way up, by the time they reach 25, they got like $50,000, $60,000 in the bank. Those people, they get it. So anyway, I'm ending this video. Guys, finally, thank you very much. Subscribe to the channel, like, share this video with everybody. Share it. Learn how to be a saver. The saving community is very anonymous. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think. See ya, Brand Builder, and I am out. Check out the credentials at the bottom of the video if you made it to the end.